they do here. First and goal. Rodgers hangs in the pocket, throwing into a lot of traffic, and it's caught for the touchdown by.
And as always, you can follow us on Twitter at First and Goal Pod. Follow the guys. Jay is at UPJ33. Dave is at Steak and Cheese. And the fantasy wonder man himself, Dylan, is at DylanBusby1. Email all your questions and comments to us at firstandgoalpodcast@yahoo.com, and you will make the show live during our mailbag segment. Again, that's firstandgoalpodcast@yahoo.com. And welcome everybody to another live edition of First and Goal. It's the preview show, Giants Packers Week 13. I am your founder and producer, Jay Andrews, up in the UP. And as always, your host with the most down in Georgia, it's Dave.
What is going on, everybody? First and Goalers and our soon-to-be announced guest. Oh, my God, I'm excited for tonight. A little delayed preview show. Sorry about that, folks. I had a kid emergency tonight.
It was like 2.5 minutes, buddy.
Hey, I'm usually on time, so that's not usual for me. And I apologize to our guest, Jerry, on that.
I was keeping him occupied with Danny Dimes talk.
So, let's go ahead and get to it. Let's go ahead and introduce our guest. We have Mr. Jerry Foley for Giants Insider. How are you doing today?
Hey, good, guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you because we contacted you the day of Thanksgiving. We didn't want to contact people beforehand because of the fact that, you know what, it's holidays. We wanted to at least give it some time. But I'm like, what the heck? Let's put out a message on Thanksgiving. Didn't expect you to, but bam, on the spot. And I'm like, this guy's already good in my books.
Well, watching the Cowboys lose any time, any day is always puts me in a good mood. So I was in a really good mood. So
thank you, Jerry. We get off to a great start, man. If we can agree on nothing else the rest of this show, we can agree on our hatred for the Cowboys. Thank you.
Brownie points already.
Yeah, I think you're either in the love them or hate them, and I think most people are in the hate them category.
I am just tired of the Cowboys being so irrelevant and yet talked about so much. I am tired of – I want to know, honestly, when the hell did Dallas, Texas become the center of the universe of the United States? When did Dallas, Texas become the blueprint of what we want everybody around the world to know that America is like? If I can say there is like one of 5 cities that do not describe 95% of Americans any less, Dallas is in the top 3, okay? So the fact that they have coined themselves, and mind you, if you do your research, people, the people did not name them America's team. It was a marketing development by a PR guy that worked for the Cowboys in the 60s or 70s, and it just caught on. It's disgusting. They don't don the colors. They don't have the name Patriots. They aren't owned by the people. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it was actually Tex Schramm, and Tom Landry, to his credit, hated it. He hated the pressure. But yeah, it was Tex Schramm. I think all that stuff started in the 70s when, at least in the Northeast, the local teams were terrible, the Jets, Giants, and Eagles, and they were blacked out. And you had the Cowboys and the Steelers and the Raiders and the Vikings and the Dolphins on all the time. And I think that's how it started, at least in the Northeast. That's why I'm positive of that. So,
well, you know what? Let's go ahead and build yourself up a little bit. We have a segment called Brag Time here for every guest. And I know you may sound like a humble guy and you may not like doing it, but we're going to go ahead and give you some brag time. Build yourself up. Go ahead and announce to people who you are, who you work for, and what have you been doing.
Sure. This is funny, actually. few years ago, up until 5 years ago, I was just writing into this newspaper. I would write in so much where the editor said, "Hey, can you write a column every week?" And I said, "All right, sure, I'll try it." Well, within a couple of years, I was writing half the newspaper, and then they asked me if I wanted to become editor. I said, "All right, sure, let me try this." So I became editor of this newspaper, brought on this guy, Chris Bisignano, who, I think he loses more football knowledge and a bowel movement than most people have in their head. And, the two of us are doing this. We took over the Twitter account. When we took it over, I think we had 9,000 followers a couple of years ago. Now we're up to 22. We have a weekly podcast that's taken off. So we have sponsors now. So, hey, we're just having a good time covering the Giants. We just wish the Giants were better. So.
I mean, the Giants have had their glory days. It's not like they haven't had any recent fun memories. I mean, not for Packer fans, because you guys have obviously gotten our number up at Lambeau Field on a couple Super Bowl trips.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing now about us is we actually have a press pass. So if we wanted to go to Lambeau to finally see it, we can go. We'll be there. One of us will be there tomorrow watching the game. So, we've had some success against the Packers, but I mean, overall, the last few years have just been ridiculous for the Giants. That's the worst 3-year stretch, arguably, in their history. So,
well, you know what? I mean, it seems like Eli's kind of had, I don't know if you'd call it a farewell tour, but I mean, it seemed like the fans were finally speaking up enough about it, about how they wanted their young rookie in for this year. So, I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you think Eli is ever going to get a farewell tour at the end of the year, or do you think they're just going to stick with Daniel Jones? Sorry.
Yeah, it's something I go back and forth with all the time. We were talking about the other night on the podcast. I don't know if they can, because the last game of the season is against the Eagles, and the Eagles are going to be fighting for a playoff spot, right? There's only one playoff team coming out of the NFC. It's going to be the division winner. They have a much easier schedule on the way out than the Cowboys do. But, they play Dallas again. So if they need to win that game, I don't know if that's the right venue to put Eli in for a farewell tour.
You can't touch this. You can't touch this. Touched it.
Man to get a few snaps and then kind of have him jog off the field and the fans will give him an ovation. I think that'd be very cool. It's just got to be the right scenario. It's got to be the perfect scenario. So.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I mean, Eli's given everything to that organization. And that's just me. Like, I don't want the Baltimore Joe Flacco situation to happen where Baltimore just completely kicked Joe out, didn't give him the recognition. Like, it's just, he really did everything that team wanted, and it's just, so I want to see Eli just get recognized is all.
Yeah, I think Jones is learning, and Giant fans are learning that the last 6 years have not been Eli's fault. I mean, they're 2-9 with Jones. No. The offensive line has been horrific for 6 years now, and Jones is learning that. He's fumbling a lot more than Eli did. He's taking more chances than Eli was the last couple of years. Eli was captain check down, but I mean, it's obvious that the trenches on this team are just horrific.
I was surprised with the pickups they've had with the free agency, the draft. I feel like they should have had a little bit more better offensive line this year, especially the pickup, the offensive tackle, Nate Solder from the Patriots recently. I thought he would have been like a solid stud there.
Yeah, if you think about it, they picked up Nate Solder. They picked up Mike Remmers, who's a bit of a cast-off, but he's still decent. Yeah. They drafted Will Hernandez in the second round. They traded for Kevin Zeitler, and John Jalapeno came back. The line should be a lot better, which points me to Hal Hunter, the offensive line coach. It's time to go. I mean, they need the Giants need another coaching staff. Whether Shermer stays and changes various parts of it, that's one thing, or you just kind of throw it all out the window and bring someone else in. So, we all expected the line to be a lot better than it was, but it looks like last year's version again.
I want to ask you this question, and because I want to hear your opinion from somebody that covers this team deeply, because I have a theory about this, and also I'm a little confused. So maybe you can shed some light on it for all the people outside of Giants world. Was Saquon Barkley a wasted pick at this point? Because you have Daniel Jones now. Usually you don't go get the runner and such before you get the quarterback, because it feels like Saquon Barkley was a pick to try to revamp and help Eli out. It didn't work. And now if you and here's why I say it. Because if you look around the league at all the franchise running backs that are either high draft capital or have been high draft capital and now have been paid, their teams are either just above 500 or far below it. And so I'm just wondering what New York, as a New York Giants person, how you're feeling now about the Saquon Barkley pick. Because quite honestly, you look around the league, and I know he was hurt, but this is why I'm kind of hard on the whole idea of taking running backs so damn high, is because you've got Aaron Jones, more productive, 5th-round pick. His backfield partner is a 6th-round pick. He's very productive when he comes in. Kamara is a 3rd-round pick. You've got all these guys that are Nick Chubb, 2nd-round pick, and his backfield mate that just came back and is on higher, Kareem Hunt, is a 5th-round pick. All these guys are far more productive, considering that Saquon Barkley was supposed to be this, generational talent. And I know everybody says, well, it's only 2nd year, but running back's the one where you're supposed to come in and hit the ground running right away. So kind of how do you guys look at it as Giants people? Because I know how it's talked about and how it's perceived out there now from the outside world.
I think last year showed you what kind of player he could be. So I don't think it was wasted. I know what you're saying. A lot of people have said that. Look, the guys who were taken after Barkley, Sam Darnold, the guys that we had a shot at, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, I would say really, Josh Rosen may be on his 3rd team if the Dolphins take a quarterback this year, right? Who the hell knows what they're going to do with him? So it's not like he's proven out to be this stud. Sam Darnold only recently started looking like the guy they thought he could be. A couple weeks ago, he was seeing ghosts. Josh Allen looks like a hell of a player. What's funny is if everybody criticizes the Giants for that, everybody passed on Lamar Jackson. I mean, I think he went, 32nd
overall, and they had to trade back up to get him.
Yep.
Right. And the rumor was that the Giants wanted to trade up. The Eagles knew it, so they traded out of that spot. And the Ravens traded ahead of him because the Giants they traded up to get Will Hernandez, and with the first pick of the 2nd round, they were going to take Lamar Jackson. But anyway, I don't think it was. I think the fact that they got Daniel Jones this year makes it a better pick. Unfortunately, Barkley got hurt in week 3. I think he's still hampered by it. I think the offensive line is just horrific. But I don't think it was wasted because they got their guy, who I think they got their guy this year. I know what you're saying, but it wasn't like Andrew Luck was there and they passed on him, or something like more of a sure thing. I mean, Baker Mayfield went 1. I mean, did they regret taking him instead of Sam Darnold or Josh Allen? So,
I think
James
everybody
Winston
now is regretting not taking Josh Allen, because out of that bunch, he's looking to be the guy with the most projected upward.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was going to say he his one thing, he doesn't know the hot read yet, right? And that was he didn't know at Wyoming. He doesn't throw at the blitz. He doesn't seem to check down much. He relies on his ability a lot, and he can do that now. But he's looked good so far. But I like the Saquon pick. I still do. I think the Giants were in a unique situation because of Odell Beckham and how it started going downhill. I think they needed a new face for their franchise. With Eli Manning with 2 years left on his contract, they weren't going to cut him. So if you took Darnold or Allen, he was going to sit a year behind Manning, and you were going to get nothing out of that 1st-round pick for that year. So they were in a strange position. They needed a new face to their franchise, and they got it. And this year, unfortunately, he's struggling.
Well, like you said, the offensive line is also not helping with that. And it doesn't matter how good a back is these days in the NFL. Defensive players have gotten so much bigger, faster, stronger over the years. You're never, ever going to seem to have a running back produce unless you don't have a line.
Right. Yeah. Well, he played well last year with a bad line, but still.
Right. So then in hindsight, I guess just to play devil's advocate, would have you, as somebody that covers this team and knows